Hey guys, IdArmed here. Man, not gonna lie, Earthrise was pretty good if I do say so myself. I just wonder what this year will bring us when it comes to Transformers Generations. I'm probably expecting more G1 this year, nothing really too special. Wait, what's that? No way, it can't be. Alright, I should really settle down a little. But yeah guys, Beast Wars is back, and I didn't really know how bad I wanted it until Hasbro just dumped the whole first wave on us late last year. And now look at me, I've become a full-on Beast Wars fan, and now I guess I'm considered a heretic by the G1ers. But to celebrate the release of Kingdom Wave 1, I'll be reviewing a bunch of figures from the line in a marathon, and to start, we're going big, leader class sized even. He's purple, he has a T-Rex head for a hand, and he's voiced by David Kaye, so I think you all know who we're starting with. Welcome to IdArmed Reviews. Today we'll be taking a look at the brand new Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Leader Class Megatron. Megatron officially releases later this year, but has been sighted across the United States as early as December of 2020, and is directly inspired by the character's design in Mainframe's classic animated series, Beast Wars Transformers. Just like Primus intended, Megatron transforms into a realistic but very gaudy Tyrannosaurus Rex. Unlike much of last year's Earthrise, Kingdom's figures of Beast Wars characters take a more realistic spin on the original depictions from the Mainframe show. As such, Megatron takes inspiration from popular depictions of the Tyrannosaurus Rex from popular culture, in particular films such as the Jurassic Park series. After doing some research with my friend Dat Savan, Megatron does have some differences but from said modern depictions, probably in an attempt to be accurate to his appearance in the Beast Wars cartoon. But honestly, as a guy who is not a dinosaur enthusiast, I don't really care much, because Megatron looks stunning in this mode. I never thought we'd get such realistic and detailed animal designs in Transformers for years, but here we are today. Going into the specifics, the coloring on Megatron is still very accurate to both Megatron's toy and show model, but feels much more natural with transitioning from light purple to either green on the top of the body and tail, or the tan of the underside. All of that leads to the amazing head sculpt, and while it's a little unsettling at first, especially looking at it directly in the face, it is still shocking how good this looks. The same goes for the large clawed feet and multi-articulated tail, which all feel so well defined and accurate. All of this results in one solid sculpt that really feels like the teams at Hasbro and Takara were trying their best to make some kind of model rather than a transforming robot. However, this beast mode isn't perfect, as usual. Some minor nitpicks some people may have are the over number of panels, as well as the fact that the entirety of the beast mode itself is made out of a soft, rubbery plastic. While these aren't problems I have with the figure myself, I can see why people are worried about the latter especially, because at the moment we don't really know how this plastic will end up in, say, 10 years from now. Now, something I do have a problem with are the parts of the fight that cover up the robot mode thighs. In order to facilitate forwards and backwards leg movement into Tyrannosaurus Rex mode, they move on a slider joint. Sadly on mine, the piece for moving the slider was built wrong for the left thigh piece and kept falling apart, so I had to super glue it on, meaning that while it still looks good, articulation is a risk at this point. This doesn't deter me from loving this beast mode, but I'm hoping this isn't going to be a widespread issue as more people continue to get their hands on this figure.
So given the fact that beast modes in Kingdom have a lot of articulations, a big point concerning Kingdom is that the alternate modes are as close to being realistic as possible. Kingdom Megatron does have a decent amount of articulation, starting at the neck. You can swivel down and up, you can look up and down, the mouth opens up very far, ball joints in the arms, the legs swing back and forth, the knees bend and swivel. Down here, ankle tilt, or an ankle pivot forward back, and an ankle tilt. And swapping over to tail, it can move down, it can move side to side, it can swivel a little bit if you break the sculpt. And then at this part of the tail, you can swivel and rotate, which means you can get like a nice tail bend. So honestly, for a dinosaur by Hasbro, it's not too shabby.
Aside from his articulation, Megatron's sole gimmick in beast mode is that by opening the mouth, a 5mm hole can be used to place any of your blast effects from recent years. While Megatron himself doesn't come with any, if you owned a newly released Studio Series 86 Scourge, his long purple blast effect is perfect in my opinion. Now that we've covered everything about the beast mode, it's time for Megatron to terrorize and transform into his robot mode.
So Kingdom Megatron has a very long transformation, a long and complicated one, but it's pretty satisfactory once you know how everything goes. So let's get into it. To start, you want to open these side panels. You're gonna wanna pop this up. That reveals the hips. Come in here and you want to split open this chest. Reveals the robot mode head underneath. And I'm just gonna do this right away. You pull these panels up like that to reveal the hip guns. Here we go. Alright, so what you're gonna want to do next is swivel the whole tail assembly so you can unclick that. And you're gonna want to swing these hips under. And they're gonna just connect together. And we're pretty much done with the legs. You're gonna want to flay this open, and these panels are gonna spring load down. And fold these in. And you're gonna want to, just like in the show, swivel this around, and everything's gonna fold the head up. That clicks in. And almost done. This, I believe it's supposed to fold like that usually. Come to the tail. What you're gonna do is rip open these panels, and they're gonna just push in. Do the same. And you're gonna fold this down, and you're gonna flip this around to complete the tail from the show. And then finally, fold this down. I situate the arms like this. You fold this up, and then you're gonna click it in. And with that, just gonna make sure this balances correctly. There you have Kingdom Megatron in his robot mode.
After a pretty long and complicated transformation, Megatron's robot mode is straight up salivating. Pretty much, I think it's what everyone wanted from a Chug Beast Wars Megatron. And that's what makes it so appealing, the fact that Hashtag actually did this. And as I alluded to a second ago, the way he looks is just stunning. Particularly how all of this deep purple, gunmetal gray, and silver throughout the body just emerges from the shell of the beast mode. Starting from the head, with some minor adjustments to the color scheme, it's dead on to his appearance in the show, even including a super small Predacon symbol on the forehead. If anything, I do wish he did have more of a smirky face, but I'm fine with this pretty neutral expression. And then moving down to the torso, thighs, and biceps, the robotic details help to counter all the organic pieces that carry over from the beast mode. While this version of Beast Wars Megatron isn't either of his transmetal forms, it definitely feels like a precursor with the mix of organic and technological elements. Moving on to Megatron's quote-unquote hands, they're pretty unique as one is the entire T-Rex head, while the other is the classic tall tail claw arm thingy. Usually this arm is exposed as shown in the show, but with some backwards transforming, the claw arm can form the entirety of the lower arm, as it was with the original Beast Wars Megatron figure from 1996. For the one problem I think most people will have with this figure, it's the backpack Megatron has. While it is very panel-y for having practically an entire torso of a T-Rex on its back, I don't hate it all too much because I see it as a necessity to having such a clean body for the rest of the robot mode. To help remedy it though, well-known customizer Grim Lockmus suggested that the idea that by flipping up these spring-loaded panels, Megatron's backpack cleans up just a bit more while resembling the shape of the backpack from Megatron's show model. Considering the structure of his arms, Megatron doesn't come with any accessories. Rather, the T-Rex head on his right arm can still open up to plug in a blast effect. On the other hand, literally, the claw arm thingy on his left arm can open up to grab any item or being of your choice. For other features, Megatron features hip guns made up of parts from his beast mode, and each of the guns can have a blast effect plugged into them. And finally, in an inversion of the plentiful number of combat ports from Siege and Earthrise for the past 2 years, Megatron only has 2, one on the bottom of each foot. I'm perfectly okay with this, since it helps to keep the sculpt intact and clean for both modes.
Now, due to Beast Wars Megatron always having kind of an unconventional body design in some areas, specifically the arms, he doesn't have all the articulation you'd expect from a War for Cybertron trilogy figure, but still he does have a lot due to a lot of articulation carrying over from the Beast mode. So, starting at the top of the head, we get a full 360 and a little bit of up and down. But if you mistransform it a little bit by clicking it, yeah, he can look up quite a bit more. In the shoulders, you get good rotation, but it is going to be blocked by the panels, however you put them. You get bicep swivels on both arms. On his left arm, you get a elbow bend forward at 90 degrees, and then also backwards at 90 degrees. Again, can be impeded by the back plate. Moving down to the wrist, it has an angle upwards. This isn't part of the transformation. It's meant just for articulation, which is actually pretty neat. And then moving down to the claw, it can open up and down, and of course the tail can wag up and down. But mostly, it's about this clamping thing. Kind of the same thing on his right arm. You get the bicep swivel, and then you get an elbow bend technically, but it doesn't go far at all. But the other way, yeah, it goes pretty far due to transformation. And the dinosaur mouth opens, and then rotating here, you can see it also moves up and down. And then to the waist, you get a full 360. Pretty good. Moving the arms out of the way. The hips can go out this far and back that far. They can do the splits about out that far, but they get blocked by the hip guns. There's really nothing you can do about it. Instead of the thigh swivel, you get a knee bend and a roughly 90-degree bend at the knee. At the bottom, you have the same ankle pivot up and down, as well as ankle tilt left and right from beast mode. So, this is going to be hard to balance. But yeah, overall Megatron does have some pretty solid articulation.
At roughly 7 3/4 of an inch tall to the top of his head, Kingdom Megatron is easily the biggest leader class figure of the whole trilogy so far, which is mighty impressive considering he doesn't rely on any armor-up features like some other figures this trilogy have done. First guys, comparison here is Megatron with Earthrise leader class Optimus Prime, Siege leader class Ultra Magnus, Kingdom Deluxe class Black Arachnia, and both Kingdom Deluxe class Paleotrex and Core class Vertebrate. I'm going to be honest, I usually gush a lot in the reviews I've been doing here for the past month or so. Usually it's because it's hard for me to complain about these toys that I bought with my own money and are also just meant to be pure fun. But I feel like with Kingdom Megatron, it's the first figure to gush about because it's just so stunning. The thought that in 2021, we got what is pretty much a fantastic rendition of this character the first go around just made me so excited to get him in hand. And man, he does not disappoint one bit. With stunning details and posing in beast mode and a robot mode that in my opinion has no weaknesses, Megatron is the first leader where I feel he 100% justifies his $50 price point. Don't wait for a sale on this guy. He's well worth the money, and I think that's a sentiment you guys will be hearing over and over again as I review Wave 1 of Kingdom. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you all next time when I take a look at the fearless leader of the Maximals. See you guys next time, and take care!